Hello, hello. Welcome. It's Heart Month this month for February. And so I thought the perfect thing for us to talk about tonight is the heart and the power of the heart. So I want to welcome you as you join in and listen either live or catching the replay. I want to welcome you to The Unconditioned Life. This is Linda Downey, and I'm talking about creating your life newly, free of the conditioning of our past, free of the pain of our past, leaving stress and overwhelm behind in order to live a life that's joyful and vibrant. So that's what this podcast is about. That's what this live is about. And this particular episode is about understanding and tapping into the amazing creative power and healing power of your heart. So, again, because this is Heart Month, I thought it was the perfect conversation. And usually with Heart Month, you see a lot of information around the cardiovascular system and heart health, right? Like how to keep the pump muscle of your heart healthy. I want to talk about the heart in a little bit different way and hopefully give you an entirely new perspective, a unique understanding of just what the heart does for us besides pump blood. So our heart is actually really the creative force of our life. It's where we get creative, where we actually decide from our emotions and our feelings. And then when we send those feelings to the brain, where we decide how our life is going to go. So the heart is very, very creative. And it has its own nervous system. This was really stunning to me when I learned it, because I don't know about you, but I always thought we have one brain, and the brain is up here, and the brain does everything. The brain really generates everything, and it's not the case. Actually, we have really actually two other brains, with very intricate and fully developed nervous systems of their own. The heart is one of them. The other brain, and you've probably heard this, is the gut. The gut is the second brain because the gut also has a very amazing and complex nervous system and also communicates with the head brain. But I want to talk to you tonight about the heart brain and the heart brain communication, heart brain coherence. Because if you are stressed and you live in a stressed place a lot of the time, you're probably not coherent. You're probably not in a rhythmic, ordered pattern of your heart. If we actually looked at an EKG and how that information is going to the brain. And when you're in a chaotic pattern, not experiencing heart brain coherence, then you're feeling really stressed. You're out of touch with that creative power of the heart that I just talked about. You don't have access to it. You're really stuck up here in your brain to try to problem solve, figure it out, and then go execute. But when you can drop out of your head and into your heart, that's where your true power lies. Okay, so again, as if you're dropping in, please say hello. Tell me where you're from. I would love to know. This is streaming in 6 places. So if I don't see your comment or your hello in the moment, I will go back and find it later. And I thank you for listening, or if you watch the replay. So we're talking about the heart and heart-brain coherence, and how does that apply to stress? So the heart center, if you know anything about the energy centers of the body, each of the 7 energy centers have their own nervous system, have their own biochemistry, have their own neurotransmitters, and they do their thing in the body, and then they communicate with each other. When we get to the heart center, if we're moving up from the bottom, when we get up to the heart center, that's the first place where we leave survival. We leave just surviving our life and we start to create our life when we get energy up into the heart. And so, as I said earlier, the heart has its own nervous system. And in fact, it gives the brain, the head brain, much more information than the brain gives the heart. So the heart is constantly giving the brain information based on what we're feeling and what kind of energy is going on in the heart. And I'm going to show you a picture in a couple of minutes of what that looks like. But if you put your hands right on your breastbone, so first of all, we have a lot of energy in our hands. As we know, if you ever do this with your hands and you start to not even touch them, but you just start to move a little bit in and out, you feel that energy in your hands. You can almost feel like there's an invisible squishy ball in there. It's very, very noticeable. So there's a lot of energy in your hands. And if you put your hands on your heart center, like right over your breastbone, you're going to start to send energy into that heart center. So if you're feeling stressed out and anxious, a way to calm that down is right away pull energy into the heart center, because probably the energy is all up in your head trying to figure out your problem, and or it's pulled down below into the survival centers, right? So you want to get the energy into your heart center. Now, here's what's so interesting. In that heart center, right here under your breastbone, is also the thymus gland. So the thymus gland is centered right here in the same space as your heart and the heart center, the energy of that. And the thymus gland is the master gland for the immune system. So the thymus gland, I think it pumps out something like 1,100 different biochemicals telling the immune system what to do and when to go into, attack mode. It really organizes and commands the immune system. So the thymus gland is right there where the heart is. So here's why that's so interesting. When you're in fear and stress and your energy is not in your heart, the gland that governs your immune system is not getting the energy. It's not getting that energy that we want it to have. So you can see how being in fear and stress would have a negative impact on the immune system just by understanding where that thymus gland is located, right in the same area as your heart. It also so happens that when we're stressed out, the brain tells the immune system, shut down. We need our resources to run and fight. We're not going to handle that virus right now. We're not going to handle that cancer cell right now. Those are longer term events. Right now, we got to run and save our lives. So the brain tells the immune system to shut down. The thymus gland is not getting the energy it needs because you don't have the energy in your heart center. So by pulling energy into your heart center, you get energy going to that immune system. You also start to create that coherent heart-brain communication by breathing and imagining breathing in and out through your heart center, just because your imagination and your hands will get energy there. So I want to show you this, this picture, this slide. All right, so this slide is showing you the energy field that emits from our body. So we all have a field around us, an energy field around our body. And this is showing you when we're in fear, the energy field around our body is very diminished, because when we're in fear, we're in survival. And when we're in survival, we are consumers of energy. We're actually drawing from our energy field, which means we're diminishing our life force energy, and we're diminishing the energy that's available and sustaining. When we're in love, when we're feeling love in our heart, and that's part of what we're doing when we're bringing in our energy to the heart center, but we want to bring our emotions. We want to match our emotions to that center. So one thing that you want to do to get yourself out of stress is to get your attention to your heart center, and then start to think of something that makes you feel love. Picture somebody's face in your mind that you love. Remember a memory where you felt loved, or you were in the experience of love, or just imagine love, whatever it is for you. So you want to do that and start to get that emotion present in your heart. Another thing that's interesting is when we feel like, when we're scared or, "Ugh," something happens and we're like, "Ugh," shock, we feel like a heaviness here, not from good energy, but actually like a block, like a heaviness and a block there because the energy's being blocked from our heart. So, this is the energy field when somebody is experiencing love, when they're in the experience of love and um, just radiating out that energy. So, our energy field can go out from our heart, it can go out as far as 6 feet around our body. The rest of our body, the energy field is about 3 feet out. You can see with different technology and photography or whatever, they can actually see the energy, and goes out about 3 feet. But the heart energy is going to extend 6 feet all the way around. It goes out further. And so when we're feeling the energy of love, when we're in the emotion of love, that energetic frequency of love is extending out around our body. And what does that do? That impacts the people around us, the people that we care the most about, our family, the people that we love, but it also sends out a certain frequency into the world, into the atmosphere, right? If everybody was feeling love, and I know that we're human beings and we're not going to feel love every minute of every day, I know that. But if you can get yourself into that frequency and you can stimulate that heart energy, you start to send love out into the world as much as 6 feet around your body. And you affect other people who are within your energy space. And you know that. You know that when you enter a room and there are other people, you can get the vibe. You can tell who's got good energy, who's got like, oof, that's bad energy over there, right? You can feel that. We are very much intuitive as human beings, especially when we pay attention to it. So the heart is capable of affecting people 6 feet out, excuse me, from our body. That's also capable of making a difference in the world. And it helps transform our own nervous system. So I'm going to take this down. Okay. If you're watching the replay later, you can see it. That's called the toroidal field, and it's the energy field that's going out around our body and from our heart. So, so the heart is not only responsible for that, but it can also create that coherence with the brain. When you're in stress and fear and in fight or flight, the brain stops talking, stops communicating through different parts of the brain. It starts to get very chaotic. If you were on an EEG and they were looking at how your brain waves go, it would look very chaotic and dysregulated. That's a dysregulated nervous system. That's when things start to break down. That's when over time, when you stay dysregulated like that, health issues show up. It's also very difficult to communicate well, powerfully, to be creative in our communication, to problem solve. It's difficult to do all of that when you're in a chaotic brain state. So the heart helps the brain get back into an orderly, intelligent communication. It calms the nervous system down. It gets us out of depleting our energy field and starts to put out energy into the field, which is then helpful for everyone. When we're just depleting and consuming energy because we're in fight or flight, it doesn't help anybody, right? Certainly not ourselves and certainly not anybody else. So the power of the heart is so much more than a pump. It can really change your experience of yourself and your life. It can make a difference for those people that are close to you, around you, and it can make a difference in the world. That's the power of the heart. So you want to drop down into your heart whenever you're feeling stressed, upset, worried. See if you can stop the thinking and drop down into your heart by putting your hands here. Sometimes even doing a circular motion, like I'm moving the skin over my breastbone, not creating friction, but just moving the skin. So you're stimulating that thymus gland and the heart center itself. The other thing I didn't say, one of the things that the thymus gland produces is oxytocin. So the oxytocin is the love hormone. When you fall in love, which is Heart Month, February, Valentine's Day, right? When you're having the feelings of love and you fall in love, your body is producing oxytocin. That's a particular hormone. When you're in fear, the adrenals produce cortisol. So they usually don't happen at the same time. But when we're in love, we produce oxytocin. When a mother gives birth, her body is filled with oxytocin so that she bonds with the baby. And the baby has oxytocin as well. So that's the love hormone. Also comes from the thymus, also comes from this heart center. So it's actually a very perfect design and not coincidental that all of that happens in the same place and it's right here. You have access to it. You can stimulate that. You're going to move in a circular direction. You're going to think about someone that you love or being loved. And then you're going to slow down your breathing. That's one more element if you want to do some deep breathing into that heart center. So that's all the power of the heart. I wanted to make sure as we go through Heart Month that you think more than just of a pump that's pumping your blood, more than just your cardiovascular system. So your cardiovascular system is one circulatory system that we have. The lymph system is another circulatory system, and our energy system is a third circulatory system. You can't see it, at least not with the naked eye. We have technology now that can see it, but it's the energy circulation that I'm speaking to right now. And it is the nervous system and the neurotransmitters from the heart to the brain and the gut to the brain that are, all of that creates that communication. Okay, so if you have any questions, if you watch the replay later, I'm wishing you a great Heart Month, that you really can drop down into your heart, that you can tap into that powerful energy. If there's one thing I would love for you to walk away from this conversation with, it's your heart gives more information to your brain than your brain gives to your heart. Your heart is always giving out really the commanding information, and then the brain just carries out the orders. So if you're in fear, if you're feeling fear, that's going to give the whole body a message. But if you can get your heart back into a space of love, coherent, ordered patterning, you change everything. Okay? So have a great rest of your night, and I will see you soon. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Unconditioned Life. Have a great night.